So for the second application of bleach, I'm really curious to see how much surface area has an effect on things. Before it was sitting in this bucket here, which is deep, and was allowing it to soak, but I wonder if I get it in a flatter container like this, and pouring the bleach directly all over it, if that'll make any kind of big difference, or not at all. So, I'm also not going to add as much water to dilute it, and I'm really just going to go for it with a lot of bleach and see how that comes out. I'm also, after I do this, going to just put the bottom of that black tank top in there and see if I can get that just a little bit whiter. Again, always being careful with bleach. It's a dangerous chemical. It's not for kids to use. We have dogs here, so I'm really careful not to get it outside of this container, and that's why I do all my rinsing in the front, away from where the dogs play and where the kids are and all that good stuff. So, just some safety tips to keep in mind when you're doing this. And again, being wary, touching this with my bare hands, poking it with a very official stick. Also, this stick is going to get thrown out again, so the dog doesn't chew on it. It's little things you need to take into consideration. I don't know if you guys are parents or dog owners or live in an apartment building with a lot of little kids, but you really want to be mindful of where all this runoff and excess bleach winds up. So, to avoid spraying into my eyes, just very gentle water. And at this point, the water isn't really to dilute it, but just to, again, surface area, to give more volume to the water, to the liquid, for the shirt to soak up. Now you can see the entire area that I want bleached is really able to be submerged, and it's pretty flattened out. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best here. The dye that I'm using is just RIT liquid dye. You can pick this stuff up at your local convenience store or department store or whatever. So the recipe here calls for boiled water. So I very carefully brought outside several gallons of boiled water, and it says to use half a bottle of this for 3 gallons of water for an entire pound of clothes. But this isn't a pound, this is maybe a pound soaking wet, but this is just a couple ounces of clothes. So I'm going to pour the water in, pour the dye in, stir it up, and this calls for constant stirring. It's going to be a little bit tricky because I'm not trying to completely submerge these clothes. I just want the ends done, so I'm going to do a lot of agitation to keep them moving and try to get it soaked all the way through. So here we go. RIT liquid dye. Something you want to be careful with. It talks extensively about how it'll stain whatever you're using. That's why I'm using this big bucket that nobody cares about, and I'm wearing black clothes. I was really cautious with the bleach not splattering up. With this, if it splatters on me, I'm not too concerned about it. So, this does make me a little more nervous. This is scalding hot water. I'm going to dump the whole thing in there. You can see all that steam flying out. Doesn't really smell like much of anything, so that's good. Don't have to get freaked out by that. I'm going to start off with the gray tank top. Just dip it in. That's a rich shade. Now this looks a little bit more purple than black, so I'm hoping that as it sits and everything, that it really darkens up a lot. And because I'm just sort of experimenting here, I might add a little bit more of this bottle to it. I'm not super concerned with saving it. I'm really just trying to get a handful of shirts to look cooler than they did earlier. Now this shirt had a giant stain on it before, so I didn't bother washing it. I just went right ahead with it. And this doesn't call for pre-soaking your clothes. like a lot of those do-it-yourself videos say to do. They say to, a lot of things they say to acid wash, say to bleach, or say to rinse your clothes and soak them first. But I didn't do that because, again, first of all, I'm not concerned with the overall cleanliness, and I'm going for a really extreme look. With those things, they want you to soak it first so that it doesn't get super absorbed and overdone. But I want this to be overdone. I want this to be pretty solid colored. So I'm going to go ahead and agitate this for the next 30 to 60 minutes. Oh, it said to add wet fabric. Whatever. We'll see how this turns out. So yeah, I'm going to agitate this, and I will show you guys in a second how it looks. Alright, this weird witch's brew concoction is black dye, which if you look at on the edges, it looks kind of purple. And I reread the directions and saw that I was supposed to shake well before pouring it in. But because I used so much of the bottle, I think that all the chemicals got in there anyways. And also I added some more. So this is way thicker than your normal concentration would be, because I used more than half the bottle and less than 3 gallons of water. And although the tops do look kind of purple, when I pull it out, you can see how black that's starting to look, and that's pretty exciting. Now I've got a small ring of like neon orange here at the top that you can kind of see on this camera. There it is, right here. And I don't know if that's because I'm using the bucket that had the bleach in it, and right at that phrase, like that fringe spot where it crosses over, the bleach is interacting with the dye and it's giving it that weird tint, or what. But I don't think it'll be too noticeable when it's all said and done. So, a little stirring update, and next time you guys see this, I will be rinsing it. Now, if you've ever dyed hair or anything before, you know that the rinsing process is just rinsing until the water running off of it is clear. So I'm going to take these down to the basement sink and do that, just because I think it would freak people out if I had black water running into the sewers. Or maybe I'll do it because I don't mind. But we'll see.